Wow, my hair is getting long. All right, we're going to talk about Riftbound today on this Riftbound channel. Shocking, I know. And I don't update the channel very often, but I have been thinking a lot about Riftbound lately, more so than usual. And I think it's an interesting time to talk about Riftbound because it is exploding. And I look at all the evidence and it feels like it's going to continue to explode. And that's not because I want to pump the value of my signature Kaisa or anything like that. I'm saying it because I'm both excited and worried for what that means in the near future. So let's take a step back. One, I should let you all know if you're wandering onto this channel and you don't know who I am. My name is Travis. I've been doing League of Legends coverage since 2011, so what, 15 years now? Mostly was covering the esport, took a step back. Now I do a bunch of stuff in TCG. I do some consulting and some other things. I'm a big TCG player. And I mostly collect Riftbound, though I do really like pre-Rift and limited. I just don't usually play the competitive 1v1 formats in any TCG, so here we are. I was a believer in Riftbound to be a cool, like, 4th or 5th string game for a while. I was curious to see how Riot develops it, but I figured the fact that they rushed it out, all this stuff, that there was going to take a few years before we got to a point in time where this is like a super serious contender on the TCG stage. However, in the last couple of months, I've become a big believer for a couple different reasons. I will say step 3, I was pretty skeptical. That was where I felt like the game had kind of plateaued. I was still thinking it'd be interesting, but set 3 is often where a lot of TCG struggle, and it felt like with Unleashed, that was what was happening. A lot of the value of the boxes plateaued or even went below MSRP. I played pre-Rift, a couple pre-Rifts for that set, and was not particularly impressed with the set, was not as excited about it. The collectability did not seem there. Baron felt like a pretty big whiff. And so I felt like, whatever. This had like a core audience of people who really liked to play it competitively in 1v1, but I did not think that we were going to continue to grow anytime soon. And then a couple of different things happened. The biggest thing to me that stands out was the release and announcement around the T1 collectible bundles, which just went up for the lottery system today. I entered it, and so I had several other people enter it. We'll talk about that in a second. But that, I think, really set a lot of interest and eyes on the space. People who were already kind of interested about it really became fascinated by these cards that you could get that had the signature, they were serialized, etc. And I think it both got people interested in playing the game, collecting the game. It also got, for better or worse, like investors, scalpers, whatever you want to say, coming into the space and looking at it and seeing how much fervor there were for certain cards. And I think that was when, around the time that you saw, or maybe shortly thereafter, the big buyout on signatures, where people did the math and realized how rare signature cards were and signature overnumbers, and they decided to come in and purchase a bunch of these things. And you saw the value of these skyrocket. I've talked about this before, I think, but I do consulting for packs.com, which is a site that lets you open cards. And I had built a pack where you had a 5% chance of opening a signature overnumber. You just got a bunch of overnumbers. We had to pull that pack down because the signature overnumbers basically disappeared overnight. It was incredibly hard for us to be able to guarantee that we could send them to people if they opened them because they were so hard to get access to. And it does not feel like they have recovered, especially the really exciting ones like the Aries and Kaisas, etc. And that was when I think you also saw a lot of players start to come in. I don't know if it was the summertime. I don't know if people were interested in the T1 stuff and that made them start to look at it, or it just started to spread by word of mouth. But I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, you always do, that we saw some comment from Riot who said that maybe pre-Rift numbers were like double between set 3 and set 4. And so you start to have all these people come in and get invested in the game, and you also started to see box prices go up. So again, initially back in May was it, whenever Unleashed came out, those boxes were going below MSRP. You started to see Origins boxes go up and up and up, and Spirit Forge start to follow. And now we have Unleashed over MSRP. And while you could get Vendetta for MSRP at release, it is now also starting to climb. So you're starting to see a ton of fervor. And along with that fervor, you're seeing content creators come in and just start buying cases. They'll just post on Instagram and being like, I just bought a case, because especially whenever Vendetta came out, you could get a case for probably about $700, something along there. And So they just throw $700 at this thing, which in our current TCG bubble, where people are buying Hobbit collector booster boxes in Magic the Gathering for $800, where Pokemon has plateaued a little bit right now, or is experiencing a summer slump, I think is what people say. You know, like $700 does not sound that intimidating. And so I've seen the offline TV people and all these folks come in and just start posting videos of them opening multiple boxes, etc., which puts a lot of spotlight on the cards themselves. And these people are not just opening the boxes, they are often talking about how they went and played in a ton of pre-rifts, etc. I know Sidion did a video about that on one of her channels. And so I think we are now seeing this kind of momentum start to build where the T1 signature stuff, the buyouts on the signature overnumbered cards, the art being really great in set 4. I'm a little skeptical. I have opinions on like the Jace art that people really like, but overall people seem to really like the art. And so they're all coming in and they are just purchasing these boxes and they're starting to go up and they're making videos and they're creating content and everybody is kind of going through Riftbound fervor. And in my mind, this is just the beginning. Again, I say that as somebody who was like skeptical that we'd be getting this anywhere close to this in the long term, but we are here now, and I think that like there's an avalanche that has basically occurred where as these creators become more invested in it, as they're talking more and more, playing it, more and more people become invested in, and enjoy it, and then other creators want to start opening it. The product starts to become less available, and as much as people hate to say it, whenever you start to hear about boxes becoming more valuable and the cards becoming worth it, all that type of thing, it creates a moment where people start to say, well, this is really intriguing, I got to get into it. You see this time and time again with all these other card games. And so I think that's kind of where we're at now. The big moment happened today for me where I am a content creator or a press person, whatever you want to say. Riot has not offered me, and I do not believe will be offering me, any of these T1 bundles. Not to do a review, not to do anything like that, because they don't need to, right? Like these things are just gonna go crazy. So I knew in the last couple of days that I wanted to start asking some friends who do not care about Riftbound to go enter the lottery for me. Because of course, that's what we all do, right? Like they're doing this lottery to try to stop people from scalping or bots from getting it, etc. And they want you to log in with your Riot account. And the nice thing is that everybody has a Riot account because at some point in time, somebody has tried Val or League of Legends or TFT. And it becomes a bit of a strategic challenge because you want to ask your friends to enter this. However, for me, I've been thinking more and more about who do I ask, because a lot of the people that I do want to ask, if I tell them about it, they'll be like, you know what, actually, I think a T1 bundle sounds really cool. I think I might want that. And so instead of actually getting people to sign up for it to help you out, they're signing up, you're just creating the demand or the competition to try to get one of these things. There's only a little over 10,000 of them, at least in English language. And so it's easy to imagine a ton of people signing up for this thing. And I've been thinking about what the impact of that has, because you can think about how a lot of games or services try to create like a referral program, right? Like, hey, come sign up for this game and you get your friends to sign up for it and then we'll give you both some sort of reward. I've experienced that in Pokemon Go, League of Legends did it in the very beginning. And I feel like this T1 bundle thing is basically that. Because what I started to do was reach out to people shortly after the link went up. And a lot of my friends were saying, actually, Damien already reached out to me 20 minutes ago and asked me to sign up for this, and so I'm doing it for him. Or Clinton already reached out and had a sign up for it. And so it became a race to try to get to my friends before other friends got to it. And then these friends start to realize how much this thing is going to go for, and are they actually going to fulfill it or give it to you if they win the lottery, or are they just going to get it for themselves, either to collect or to like flip, because this thing is going to go for a ton, especially if you open a faker signature. And so you are creating this moment where all of these people are becoming more interested in Riftbound and are thinking actively about the decision to maybe purchase some Riftbound, which might make them look at the cards and decide how cool they are, which makes them want to get some of them themselves, which will create more price pressure on all the packs and boxes. And it's going to be incredibly hard for Riot to fulfill and sort the stuff out, because we've seen this with Origins boxes, which are, as I last looked, I think a day or two ago, are over $300. And Riot has said in the past that they wanted to reprint these things and implied basically like we're going to get them down to MSRP. I don't think that's going to happen now, which will make people on the investor or scalper or flipper side more interested in acquiring them, because they're like, well, these things are never going to hit MSRP. So if they do get reprinted, people are going to go out and buy them for $200 because they're almost immediately going to go back to $300 whenever they get reprinted, which will put more price pressure on it, which will get more attention on it because there'll be more headlines about how this TCG is huge. And it's just going to continue to perpetuate. There are so many people who are playing the game that, whenever I try to get tickets for my girlfriend to be able to compete at the Los Angeles event that's happening in a month. It's in September, right? Like that thing instantly sold out. So it's hard to even find places to compete in the major tournaments. They're doing FanFest stuff for Convergence, which is the TFT Riftbound crossover event that's happening in Vegas. And so the demand on this product is so big that it creates kind of a viral marketing pressure on it that will just continue to make it super big. And people, I should say, are really enjoying the game. I've seen so many people who used to compete in Magic and feel disenfranchised about how 1v1 is maybe not like the spotlight or the big thing that is happening in Magic the Gathering these days. And they're finding that the experience that they have of going to these different Riftbound events is very similar to when they used to compete at like GPs and all these types of things. And so you have the hardcore TCG folks coming in as well. And so I think that Riftbound, maybe similar to One Piece, One Piece is the only other place that I've heard that this is kind of the case, is this blend of what you see in Magic, where Magic, the cards are dictated in their value almost entirely by their playability. Unless it is like a crazy chase card that you can get in a collector booster, people want to get cards that they can play in their decks that are strong or are unique or fun. People, when Badger Mole Cub was going for a ton of money before it got banned this past week, were not buying it because they're like, I just think Badger Mole Cub is so cute, and Badger Mole Cub is my favorite character in Avatar: The Last Airbender, and so I want it in Magic the Gathering. They're buying it because it's an incredibly playable card and very strong. On the other hand, you have Pokemon, where Charizard and Pikachu are incredibly popular as characters, and so people want the fancy Charizard, they want the fancy Pikachu. And those are the cards that are super there because people just want to have like a special rare version of it because they have affinity towards the character. And I saw a really cool comment in a Reddit thread the other day that basically said, Ari is our Charizard and Teemo is our Pikachu. And it really, I think that helped me click just how strong of an affinity a lot of the League of Legends players have to these legends and to these really popular characters. And I think that that kind of, to me, indicates that Riftbound is going to be a very interesting synthesis of the best traits of both Pokemon and Magic from a like, this becomes a popular thing situation, where cards that are playable are very exciting to people, and you have a ton of people that are here to play the game. And then cards that are desirable for aesthetic or art or because of an affinity to a character are also incredibly popular. And you hope that what will happen is similar to Pokemon, where like the decks are really inexpensive. And I've did a video about that before, because people are opening the packs to make, just try to get the over numbers or whatever. But you might end up in a situation where it ends up being somewhere in the middle, where some of the playable, a lot of these people who are collecting the cards are also going out and playing at a local Nexus night because they want to get a Nexus night pack maybe and open some whatever crazy chase is available in that set at that time for the Nexus night packs. So I just, I guess I'm kind of all in on the idea that Riftbound is going to be huge, stay huge, that Riot will not be able to print enough of this stuff, and that it's going to become a problem for casual fans. And that's kind of where I'm at, is that I think players are going to feel really happy because Riot will almost certainly expand areas to play. I know they already are doing that with the Showdowns, I believe, which is the third-party thing. And then there will be a ton of people to play with at their local Nexus night. The LGSs are kind of embracing it right now because they realize there's so much value here and they want to get allocation. And then you have the hardcore, collectors, investors who are like, I'm trying to get a PSA 10 RA SIG because, and to open it. So I'm going to go do that, or I'm going to go grab a bunch of Origins boxes, first edition, and stick them in the closet, because I think this is going to be like getting Pokemon or Magic the Gathering from back in the day. I think the people who are going to have a rough time with it are the kind of like casual collectors or the casual players who I think will encounter a much higher barrier to entry, because all of this demand will potentially make decks more expensive than Pokemon, maybe not as crazy as we're seeing in Magic, but also make boxes that they just want to open to try to collect the cards difficult to get. And I think that will be tough for a little bit until Riot can meet the demand on all this stuff, because I'm seeing the offline TV folks, I'm seeing other people just rip Riftbound and try to get these cards, and I'm seeing the impact of these cool arts, and the fact that they at Gen Con cut down they had to cancel a fan meet day because the line to try to get the special, I have one right here somewhere, somebody got one for me, the special garden box that has Ivern and Lilia in it, that line was too crazy. Everybody's trying to get all these boxes, maybe to collect for themselves or maybe to flip, because I think they were selling for like, what, $60 or something like that, and then I saw them going, I believe on TCG Player, for like 200. So I just think things are gonna get, in some ways, worse before they get better, depending on your perspective. Maybe for somebody like LS, who's purchased a lot of product and has all these slabs and all that stuff, they're gonna get better before they get even better. But yeah, Riftbound's crazy. That's where I'm at. I do want to mention, I do consulting for packs.com. If you want to go open packs of Riftbound on our site, you can go do that. Sometimes it's easier to find it on our site versus going into your local store. There's a link in the description, and doing that gives you a 5% bonus. So thank you to them for, I guess, sponsoring this video. We don't have a formal sponsorship for this video, but I'm just going to mention it anyway. And then I do also want to say we're not trying to say that you shouldn't go open physical packs of this stuff as well. We're not trying to replace any of that. It's just another option for you if you want to engage with Riftbound. And I helped design some of those packs, and they're pretty cool. But thank you so much for watching. How are you enjoying Riftbound? Let me know. I'm curious what you think of this video. Am I overhyping it? Am I just bought in? I promise I'm not saying this to try to spike the value of stuff. I'm just realizing how insane this is going to get over the next 6 months.